Happy Wednesday, everyone. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Yes, it's time to have a party. We got the jig going. Pretty much fun. But first, we got to do live. So, tag somebody that should see Leanne being dorky with a hat, because I don't wear the hat very often. But you know what? We'll do live first, and then we'll come back and have a party in a little bit. So, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Kind of silly, but it is St. Patrick's Day, so we have to be silly. You may have seen our St. Patrick's arrangement that we sent out on Monday. This was the hat that I used. Still has the hole in it. If you missed out, you can find the video both on YouTube and Facebook and on the Floral Design Institute homepage, so you can see the design. Yes, I have my shamrock on, wearing of the green, if you missed that. It was our Tulip Tuesday tip on creating a shamrock out of your Valentine hearts. That sounds funny, doesn't it? But yes, Valentine hearts to make a shamrock. So yes, we've been having fun with the holidays. I think that's one of my favorite parts of being a florist, is you live holiday to holiday to holiday. And I'm worse than a little kid when it comes to celebrations and parties and fun. And my job allows me to do that. And it allows you to do that. So welcome. Shout out to everybody who's here in the studio with me. We have Teacher Michelle and Teacher Marisa. They're on YouTube and Facebook. So they will be telling us the story that you type in. Then in the classroom, so on the other side of the wall, we have Teacher Carolyn and the students. So we are a full house. Then on technology, we have Parker with us today, so he's keeping us going. Then in the virtual world, David is watching on both Facebook and YouTube, making sure that we all do a good job. Susie is on YouTube, and Caledonia is on Facebook. And you are with us. Make sure and chime in, let us know you're here, let us know where you're from, and pay attention to those messages so you can find out where your tribe is so that you can find them. I know we were just talking, we can't wait till we can all travel again so we can go visit all of you. I know that who was just telling me they're on their way to Iceland and they want to come see Vega. Marisa, what's going on?
I just wanted to remind everyone to put in their tulips. I see a lot of names that I kind of recognize, but not sure.
So if you're part of the Tulip Tribe, which is our students, our graduates, and our Flower Lovers Club members, if you're part of the tribe, be sure to put your tulip in there so that identifies you to everyone else. If you're a first timer, let us know. Some housekeeping, if you're on your phone, turn it sideways for a bigger picture. If you're on your tablet or in your computer, you can go to full screen. If you're watching me on TV, I'm already larger than life. So many different ways to collaborate through technology. Welcome. So today we're talking Elements and Principles Part 2. If you missed Part 1, you can go back and watch it. It's on replay, both on Facebook and YouTube. And with the Elements and Principles, you can create the design using floral foam. You can create the design using floral netting. Get that down in there. Or you could create the design just in plain water in a vase. Excuse me, you don't need particular mechanics. Any design, any style, any way. That's the beauty of Elements and Principles. So I'm choking here a little bit, so bringing in some water. And let's see, what flowers do I want? I'm going to use a variety of different things today, and I'm going to do that in the different styles, and each time talking about the Elements and Principles and how they relate. Because you can use anything, doesn't matter. It makes it kind of fun that floral design is adaptable based on what materials you want to use. So I could use liatris, roses, maybe a little bit of lysianthus, that pretty? I could use some freesia. Working on a monochromatic, if you forget the purple, or since I'm going into the purples, going even a little further, making an analogous pinks to purples, that section of the wheel. Well, I think I'll start with those and kind of start filling in here. As I work, if you've got questions, be sure to let us know. Type them in there. We'll be watching. If you are a first timer, let us know. If you are doing something special. I know one of the tribe is taking ownership of a flower shop, but it's still secret, so I can't share who that is yet, but I'm so excited I can hardly stand it. Oh, it's just a thrill and a half. And then I know another member of our Tulip Tribe who is opening a second location. Oh my gosh. And then I know that one of you just passed their CFD test today because I got notifications. So that's kind of exciting, but I'm not going to out you. You get to out yourself. So if something exciting happened in your life, let us know. So Marisa, Michelle, anything going on that we need to know about before I start designing?
Just a lot of tulips logging in from all over. We've got Canada, California, Wales, Texas, Illinois, Florida. Somebody up in Skagit Valley said you should come visit. The tulips are blooming and dappies have been out for a while. And then I have someone from Kansas City, but I'm not sure if it's Kansas City, Kansas or Kansas City, Missouri. So we're just going to call it KC.
Well, and you know, it really doesn't matter because they're just like right there, back and forth. And it's so beautiful. I've been in both and I loved the fountains. That was what really got me. I was in Kansas City, Kansas, I believe, I was in Kansas City, Missouri, I believe, when I saw the old fountains that were just spectacular. It was just, oh my gosh, absolutely amazing. David will have to correct me. He would know which one I was at because I can't recall, but it was so pretty, so pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and begin. When you're designing your elements and principles and your arrangements, and I'm just going to stick things for the moment, you can go up. That one's kind of short. Maybe I'll go up a little taller. You can go up. You could go diagonal, and you could go horizontal. Doesn't matter. When you're thinking about your elements and principles, the key is that you have all of them. You must have a form. Michelle talked to you about forms last week. You must have space so that you can enjoy things. You must have line. Doesn't mean you have to have a vertical line. Doesn't mean you have to have a horizontal line, but you have to have a line. You have to have texture, and you have to have a color harmony. Form, space, texture, line, and color are the 5 elements. Now, those of you that have been to flower school, you know the acronym that helps remember that, because we always give you a little mind game to help. And we just changed it. Thanks to me, teacher Marisa, I used to always say flower shop, tender loving care, and she changed it to flower school, tender loving care. How cool is that? Yes, that makes more sense. So flower school, tender loving care, FSTLC, form, space, texture, line, and color. Those 5 elements are in every single design. I didn't ask you to put them in there because I know you all know them. I know you've got that in your head. If you don't, get it in there. Flower school, tender loving care, FSTLC, form, space, texture, line, color. You can do it, those 5, just 5. And that it can be straight, diagonal, horizontal, doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'm going to make some adjustments. I think I'm going to do horizontal on this one. Oops, I made a noise with my knife. And if you're a student, you know you're not supposed to set your knife down and make a noise. Now, the last time I made a big noise, I tipped over a flower vase and made it go clonk all over and made Brayson laugh. So Brayson, if you heard me make a noise with my knife, I hope I made you laugh on that one. But I'll try not to do that again, because as a florist, we're supposed to keep our knife in our hand and not make noise with it. That's considered bad form. Noisy knives mean you should be fired. That's kind of my feeling. It's like, no, 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 no. Keep that knife in your hand. Okay? So I can go horizontally. Those of you who have taken flower school, this is a line that you're probably familiar with because we do it quite a bit. Maybe I'll do a vertical line over here. And grab a couple more.
Leanne, are you ready to hear about all the tulips I see on Facebook?
Okay, who's on
There's
Facebook with
There's
us?
a lot. Okay, let's start with Rose and Cherie, Penny, Jennifer, Gayla, Scott, Sharon, Julia, Donna, Tabitha, Andrea, Robin, Renee, Denise, Ashley, Roger, Dina and Tina, Cindy, Renee, Ayana, Marcy, Catherine, Lynn, who is a new online student, Elisa, Diane, Julie, Kim, Gracie, Linda, Arthur, and I believe it's pronounced Rouge, and also Marie, who's going to be here for Advanced on Monday.
Oh, grand. Yes, Advanced starts Monday. I was just placing orders for that, and we've got almost a full house. We do have one space left. If anybody is interested, I have one spot left that starts on Monday. We've got students from the classroom, we have students from online, and I think we've got a shop owner coming in. It's a very diverse group joining us, so it's going to be a ton of fun. I cannot wait. I'm really looking forward to it. But yes, so Marie, I can't wait to have you join us here in Portland. It's beautiful right now. In fact, today it's supposed to get up to 60 degrees and sunshine. Now next week it's supposed to rain, so I won't lie to you. It's probably going to rain a bit, but you know what? The rain is what makes the flowers bloom. It's okay. Just put a hat on, carry an umbrella, whatever. You don't melt. None of us are that sweet. We can't worry about that. So I've got a vertical line, I've got a horizontal line. Thinking about the rest of my elements and principles, I might want to bring in some texture, which Ariostemon would be fun for texture. Gives a nice contrast. Status would also work to add texture. So texture can come from a number of different things. I also need to think about my focal emphasis, which that's one of your principles. And so the roses might be a good focal emphasis. And with the focal emphasis, you want to create a resting place for the eye. So maybe bringing it in right up here, down low. Repeating that.
Marie, who's coming here on Monday, says her umbrella is packed.
Smart woman, you're good. You know, I kind of like walking around in the rain in the city. It's not freezing cold, and it's just kind of, it's Oregon. It's the way we are, so I have no problems with it. So I pulled your eye from front to back, creating a horizontal line going through the arrangement and also establishing the emphasis area. Now, if you came to flower school 5 years ago and we taught you the principles, there were 6 of them. And the mnemonic that we used was a shrub: accent, scale, harmony, rhythm, unity, and balance. And we've changed that. So if you've gone to flower school in the last few years, that's not what we teach you. We updated and we moved from 6 principles to 7. We did that to line up better with the American Institute of Floral Designers and the terminology that they use, because that is the head of the artistic interpretation of our industry. There's a group that really works very hard on accreditation, and so I wanted to make sure that our students were on the right path. So we adapted the principles to match theirs a little more closely. So instead of 6, there are now 7, and it's contrast, harmony, emphasis, rhythm, unity, balance, and scale. So what we did is we changed the word accent to emphasis, because we used to say the accent area of the design, meaning the focal emphasis, but it was misleading because sometimes you accent it with just a little touch, which is not the focal emphasis. So it was a little bit of a discrepancy. So by switching it to emphasis, it made it more accurate to what we meant when we said the accent. So we have the focal emphasis, and then we added the term contrast, because that really gives the design more interest, and that ties it all together. So if you came to school quite a while ago, you got to relearn and add contrast in there. If you came to school currently, then you're right on with us there. So now I have line and emphasis. I'm working with my color harmonies. Need to start adding a few more things in here and filling it out. Teacher Michelle, what do you have there?
Well, over on YouTube, they want you to flash them. They want to read what's on your shirt.
Oh, I love it. Okay. Tulips. Tulips never stop growing. Teacher Michelle made that for me just before our retreat. She made one for all of us, and on the back it has our little hashtag, which is kind of fun. And I decided today, since I didn't really have anything green, I thought, well, then I'm just going to go ahead for the whole tulip thing. And then I have my green shamrock, and my mask had a tiny bit of green on it, so it had green leaves. So I used that as my green so that I could have something. But I decided just to be a tulip today. And then to be consistent, I even went so far as to wear my red cowboy boots so that I would be red from head to toe. You know, we gotta have it all. So there we go. Now I gotta finish off a little more. Maybe bringing in, I don't know what I want to use here. I'm having so much fun. Any questions out there that we have to answer for you? Things that you might want to know about elements and principles?
I have one. Well, first, Joanne wants to tell Marie she was a classroom student back in 2015 and only used her umbrella once. So let's go back to one of the elements, form. So Scott has been seeing a lot of V or W shaped forms. Do those have a name?
A lot depends on how they're doing it. A lot of them are doing this sort of a drop in the center and then up on both sides. And it's a modified crescent is what it comes down to for that classic style of the crescent design. And so it comes up on each side and tucks down in the center. Other people call it a reverse triangle. I think that makes no sense to me because it doesn't go down in the bottom. I don't get that. But the modified crescent, I think, is probably a good way to think about it. And yes, I'm seeing a lot of that as well. It's one of the more classic designs. It's sort of like the Hogarth that's come back in style. And all of a sudden we're having to go, okay, well, what is the name for this? I don't know that we've done that recently, and how do we do that? And it is a little tricky because it's like, what is that? But good question. Yeah. We'll do, in the basic and the advanced design classes, we do the elements and principles always. They're in there. Those of you that are in the Flower Lovers Club, if you go into the elements and principles into the library, they have a lot of them in there as well. And so like line, which is an element, actually has a lot more to it. There's dynamic line and static line. And there are videos in there that talk about that so that it can help you remember the things that you learned in flower school. So if you are part of the club, you can go in and look for that. So I'm adding the Ariostemon, which is making the studio just smells so good. It's just, oh, so grand. And this one I did in foam. This one I'm doing in floral netting. So if you joined us late, the concept is elements and principles can be done using any mechanics. So yes, you can work in foam, or you can work in floral netting, or I'm going to do a hand tie as well so that we can show you all the variations, because there's no reason that your design has to be just one. If you were doing a hand tie, you still need all the elements and principles. I think I'll do a hand tie, and I'm going to incorporate some red twig dogwood. Red twig dogwood grows here, and in fact, we'll be using it in class next week. And in fact, I went out and foraged it my very own self down at the park by my house. There's this whole section of red twig dogwood, and the gardeners had been out pruning to get it ready for new growth, and they didn't finish. Well, I decided I should help them. So I took my wagon and my loppers and I went down and I pruned out 3 of the big trees, helping them. And so it's all waiting here for you when you come in, because red twig dogwood is one of the ones I like to use in the advanced class. And I thought, well, I'll use it in here too because I can. And I like the way it picks up the color of the liatris. Because see how it looks redder before it starts to bloom out? So it's kind of like the red twig. And I'm just grouping this so that I have the vertical movement of the liatris with the red twig dogwood. Then coming back, so I have line. Then I need to think about my emphasis. So following through with the same type of things that I used previously, okay? So now I have line and emphasis going on. And then following in with the Ariostomen, so that I keep things consistent here. And then I'm going to tie this off so that I have a little bit of control. Michelle, what's happening?
Well, I have two shout outs. The first one is Holly. She just started our online program and it's her first time joining us for live.
Hello there, Holly. Welcome to Flower School and welcome to Live. Glad you're here.
And then we have some guests for the first time, I guess I would say, from June Peckham's class at the Newfoundland Horticultural Society.
Oh, fun!
So far I see that Linda and Catherine have joined us.
Welcome. So this is very cool. The Newfoundland Horticultural Floral Design Group, they haven't been able to meet in person because of COVID, so they have been gathering virtually. And June, who is the chairwoman, invited everyone to join us today for live and let them get to be part of us with the tribe. So if you're here with the tribe, do a shout out and welcome them. Make them feel special, make them feel like they're loved, because they are. And how grand is that? So Newfoundland joining us, I think it's what, maybe 7 or 8 at night there? It's much later than it is here, because it's way on the other side of the country. And just like the rest of us, they're dealing with that COVID separation and isolation. So it's always so nice to get the opportunity to be together. So I started my hand tie, started the wire, started the foam. Maybe come back now and add in a freesia.
Leanne, will you just take a moment and actually smell the freesia? Because it actually has a fragrance.
Oh my gosh. That and the Ariostomen. Oh, this is the most wonderful freesia. You know, sometimes of the year, the freesia isn't as glorious. This is glorious. And I'm going to break it down a little bit, but I want it to have its movement, because although I have a vertical line, I can bring in a diagonal as well. There's no reason that you can't have more than one line in an arrangement. It's fun because in basic and advanced we teach that. And then once a year, in the Designing for Competition and Evaluation class, we really take it to an advanced level. And this year that's going to be in May, May 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. It's 3 days, intensive hands-on with a focus on the elements and principles and creative design techniques that are meant to help you if you go into competition. And there are so many different competitions out there. California has many of them. Southeastern United States, Florida, they have several. Not as many in the West Coast up here in the Pacific Northwest, but periodically there are some here as well. But the opportunity to compete allows you to stretch your creativity and get bolder and more dramatic with the things you do. And it's just such a great chance to see how far you can go. The Designing for Comp class, we have multiple teachers. Every single one is AIFD accredited, the American Institute of Floral Designers. And the initial plan for this course was to prepare people for testing for the professional floral design testing that they do hands-on, and then it just evolved to match all different types of creative competition. And I know Drake will be joining us. He's one of our advanced online students, and he's registered and coming. Shelby is coming in. I think she's in Mississippi or Tennessee. She's down in the southeast, and she'll be joining us. I believe Vanessa may be joining us out of Denver, and somebody else, I can't remember, but that's coming up in May. And there are 3 spots left. So if you want to really delve even more completely into the elements and principles of design, join us for that. It's such a grand opportunity. You will love it. It is so much fun. So I've got the start of my hand tie now. Go ahead and drop that in. I'm going to be adding more, but you can see how the designs are starting to evolve. They have line, they have space, they have texture, they have color, they have the focal emphasis. They need to be finished. So I'll go ahead and keep adding flowers. You guys ask questions away. I'm going to stick some Lysianthus in this one because it'll drape out the opposite side and add even more fullness to the arrangement.
Well, I'm going to do a shout out to everyone around the world. Leanne, we have people from everywhere. Let's start off with Tennessee, Tasmania, Alaska, Texas. We have about a handful from California, Delaware, couple from Ohio, Virginia, Hawaii, several from Illinois, Mexico, a couple from Canada, India, a couple from here locally in Oregon, 2 from Salt Lake City, Vermont, a few from Colorado, Louisiana, I still have more, Brazil, and let's do a shout out to Abigail who's tuning in from Ireland.
I love it.
Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Saudi Arabia, Georgia, and let's welcome Adele from Australia. It's our first time.
Welcome to each of you. I am so glad you're with us. You know, we're so lucky to have tulips around the world, and we all learn from each other. It's been quite the week for many of you around the world because Mother's Day was this weekend. Now in the U.S., it's not till May. But for many of you, it was just this last weekend, and you were crazy busy. Hopefully it was fabulous for you. Hopefully you've recovered and are starting to relax. But what a week it must have been because, you know, it's sort of like a nonstop holiday regime between Valentine's Day, then Women's Day, then Mother's Day. And you almost wonder, when do you get to rest? But I mean, how fortunate we are to get to flower the world. I hope it was a good time for you. I hope it was pretty fabulous.
Leanne, have you heard anything about a possible flower shortage around Mother's Day? Cindy seems to be seeing that.
There is going to be a shortage. I mean, everyone needs to be aware of this. Think about it. it's been a year now that COVID has been in our lives. And a year ago, farms couldn't even get people to come work because everybody was quarantined, and so they couldn't come in, and they didn't know what was going to happen to the world. They didn't have any idea of what was going to happen. So unfortunately, many people pulled flowers out because they didn't have enough workers to take care of the plants. And so then they're having to replant now, regrow, and get things ready. So they are, the infrastructure of growing flowers was affected. And then continue on, the airlines, the flights, so many things have changed. There are not as many planes flying, so there's not as many planes to put flowers on. So getting flowers from point A to point B is difficult. Then if you want to buy domestic, let's say you're here in the United States, you want to buy in the US, these people have had troubles getting workers into the farms, making sure that their flowers could get out. Same things. Then we had those horrible snowstorms around Valentine's Day in Denver right now. That affected transportation and growing. Think about the heat bills in those farms, in the greenhouses, what they're having to pay. It's been really a difficult year. So yes, there will be flowers. It's not a crisis. But yes, it's going to be a challenge, and it's going to be a little different. So for each of you that is trying to figure out what you're going to do for the coming holidays, be thinking about what is flexible. What can you do that allows you flexibility to make sure you can service your customer well and not back yourself into a corner. One thing that we can all do that's kind of interesting is Mother's Day has constantly been a favorite with plants. So maybe you look more at plants because you can start building up your inventory on plants and dish gardens early so that you know you have flowers, maybe in the plant mode, but you'll have things that can service your customers. Maybe look at dried materials. Maybe look at permanents, the artificial things, so that you've got options for your clients. I don't think you'll have to do without, but I do think you're going to have to use your creativity and your innovation and your elements and principles. I feel comfortable thinking that our students will be able to fill their orders. I also feel comfortable saying, people, you're gonna have to think wisely about how you can make sure you don't disappoint your customers based on what reality you can actually come up with and what you can find to sell. It is going to be a different time. So again, if you know somebody who's thinking about testing or doing a competition, you'll want to share this out with the elements and principles. So share the video or tag your friend. If you're on YouTube, if you'd push the thumbs up. If you're on Facebook, like it and click hearts and do all those things to help spread the word. If you are thinking about coming to flower school, we'll be doing more with elements and principles, just like you see here. If you want to look at the Designing for Comp, we've got 3 spots left, and that's on May 21, 22, 23. It's going to be a ton of fun. Michelle, what else is going on? I'm going to grab some more stuff here.
Sure. Well, James chimed in to say thank you. He received his advanced certificate and his FDI certified floral designer certificate and his pin.
Wonderful. Congratulations, James. You know, when you complete your basic studies, you get a certificate. You complete your advanced studies, you get a certificate, and you earn the title FDI certified floral designer, and you get a pin. I think I've got one up here maybe. There we go. It's like this. It's a gold embossed tulip pin, and that means that you are an FDI certified floral designer. Pretty exciting, isn't it? I mean, that's just the best. So you get that. Maybe I'll go ahead and put mine on here, right through my little shamrock. And then that qualifies you to test with the American Institute of Floral Designers to get dual international certification for your CFD. And for that, it's an open book test using this book. which we were out of stock, but we've got new ones coming in tomorrow morning. So if you've already placed your order, they come in tomorrow. We'll get them shipped out by Friday, so they're on their way to you, because I know I have a stack of orders I need to get out. And then I've got a bunch more coming. So if you're thinking about your testing, this is the book you have to purchase. If you are a member of the Flower Lovers Club, don't forget to use your discount code, because then you save 20%. Makes it the greatest value, period, bar none. And it gives you all the details that you need to do your testing to get the international designation. So then you would become Leanne Kessler FDI CFD. So you get both credentials on your name. So you'd have your name, FDI CFD. Pretty perfect. So kind of grand. I'm going to go ahead and put some leaves in here. I've got some Fatsia, tucking it in. Nice and clean and shiny. It's so beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Well, shout out to Gerald. He says that FDI prepares you fantastically for the AIFD exam.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We do try very hard to make sure that our graduates are truly ready to move into the professional world, both with job skills and theory skills and knowledge, so that you are set to be with the professionals, that you don't have to worry, ooh, do I know that? You know that. You've got those skills, you've got that knowledge, and that's our goal, to make sure that you're truly ready to roll with that. Makes it so fun for us to watch our graduates succeed and do well with all of their happenings in the career world. It's such an exciting time. So those of you that are online with us, make sure you reach out to everybody and welcome them. Make sure you announce yourself. Add your tulip if you're part of the tribe. Because if you don't get to know each other, how do you get to be involved with your community? It's your opportunity to find your people, your tribe, and to be part of the bigger picture of the flower world. I'm going in and filling in with some Gaelics. So I've got 3 designs now, one in foam. The little one in front is done in foam. So if you're wondering what are the mechanics and you came in a little bit later, this one is done in floral foam. And then I have another one that I did in floral netting so that it would be foam free. That's this one over here. So that is foam free and floral netting. And then I have one that I started as a hand tie. That was this one. That is a little more free form, but they all have the elements and principles so that they meet the artistic standards that are required of having a pretty arrangement. So now added some Gaelics to cover my mechanics and kind of looking at them to make sure. This one, turning it. I think I need a little bit more right here. Do you see this hole? There's nothing in this area. It's just kind of this gaping hole. This started as my focal emphasis, but there's not enough over here to finish it. So I need to fill in, and what do I want to do? I think I'm going to do a little bit more of the Lysianthus just because it's so pretty.
June joined us, June Peckham, and she says the Liatris are her favorite line flowers.
Oh, I love it. June, thanks so much for bringing your group to join us today. I know there are several of you here, and it's wonderful to have you all the way from Newfoundland to Portland, Oregon, to celebrate and study elements and principles of design and how they relate in every single arrangement that we do. So filling this in to get a little more fullness so that I've got some extra in there. And then thinking about what else I might add in there to fill in, maybe a little more of the Ariostemon.
Leanne, Julia has a question. She's an online student of ours, and I must say she does beautiful work. She wants to know if she can use Pussy Willow instead of Liatris for her next submission.
Pussy willow would be wonderful. So yes, online students, you are welcome to substitute materials based on what is in season and what you have in your world. And that's what makes it kind of fun for us as teachers, is to see what you choose to work with, because you can really use anything you want. So I'm going to turn this, you can look at it from different angles to see that it is a hand tie that just ends up having lots of different fronts, backs, sides, variation, depending on which way you look at it. And I filled it in a little better now. It has form, basically a triangle, focal emphasis down here. Then it has the line coming up through the center, has textural variation. This one, I'll turn so you can see from different sides. Line, focal emphasis, color, texture, all kinds of movements coming through. And then this little guy done in the wire netting, line, form is the triangle, filling it all the way around so that it continues through. So you can see how it doesn't matter what style or what form or what mechanic you use. Elements and principles go in every single arrangement that you ever make. It can be anything. And that's what I love about elements and principles. It's not rules that it's like, must have 3, must be an odd number, must do this, must do that. No. It just has to have the concept. It has to have form, has to have space, texture, line, and color. It absolutely must have contrast, harmony, emphasis, rhythm, unity, balance, and scale. That's it. If it has those 12 concepts, then it's beautiful. And it can be horizontal, it can be vertical, it can be a little more casual, it can be a little more formal. It doesn't matter. It can be what you want it to be. Now next week when we do the advanced class, which I guess Marie is joining us, yay, you're going to love your group. Deb, Emma, and Lisa are all on the other side of the wall right now, and they'll be joining you next week as well. They can't wait to meet you, and you guys can all start learning together and collaborating and sharing. But next week we'll be doing this and using all different types of materials so that you can explore your creative style and not just copy your teacher. You can do something innovative and different. We've got lots of cool flowers ordered. Okay, I'm going to move these and get ready to make another arrangement. You guys talk amongst yourself for just a moment.
Well, Leanne, speaking of talking amongst themselves, I'm trying to follow the comments, and what it appears like, it looks like Mary has some friends that got married, and someone that she found on here, Laura, it looks like they did the wedding. So now they're conversating back and forth, and then they're like, did you also send the holly? And it's like, yeah. So I think they just met online.
Don't you love it? You know, I want each and every one of you to make a friend tonight. Get to know someone. Be brave. Stick your neck out. Say hi. I want to know you. If you don't know who to pick, just kind of scroll down quickly through the comments and then just blindly pick one person and say, okay, I want to know who this Scott person is. I want to know who Ruth is. And say, hi, I'd like to get to know you. Kind of scary, isn't it? But you can do it. Because this is a safe environment. Tulips are good, happy, loving people. So you can be brave and have some fun and get to know people. You know, COVID is isolating. Tulips don't like to be isolated. We like to have fun. Let's see, what am I going to use here? I can't even remember. I was thinking about some different things, but we'll figure it out as we go along. I wanted to do something that was a little bit different, that still showed you the elements and principles. So when I did the first 3, it was in a traditional container and did different styles of mechanics. Now I'm going to do a non-traditional container. I've used this one other time, and it's just a great, great head. And it's like, And I thought, we could do blooming beauty in this. And then I was trying to figure out, what do I want to do? And I didn't know. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And then I had some kale left. And I had used the kale the other day. And you may have remembered seeing it. It's been a couple of weeks. I don't know if this is the same kale or...
It is.
It is the same kale.
It's like 3 weeks.
3 weeks old. How cool is that? Now, it's been in the cooler, so, it hasn't been just out at room temperature, but 3 weeks, and it's still exquisite. That variegation is so grand. And this leaf has a little yucco on it. It's torn, so I'm just going to get rid of that. Wow, 3 weeks. That's amazing. So giving a good, long, slanted cut on this. So see how I really wedged that? And then I'm going to take it off the other way because it's just too big. It'll use up all my foam. So that's something that you need to know. And oftentimes we teach it in the advanced class because sometimes your bird of paradise, the stems are too thick and fat to go in the foam easily. So if you arrowhead them like that, then it works a little easier and it doesn't chew up quite so much foam. Then I'm going to wedge this down in very tightly. Maybe give it even a bigger cut. You don't need quite so much stem on here. There we go. Make my face look sort of like Lady Day with her gardenia, only it's a kale instead of a gardenia. There we go.
Perfect for St. Patrick's Day.
It is for St. Patrick's Day. So grand. We'll have to have a party. That's what we need. There we go. So we've got that.
Leanne, with your Fatsia leaves on the other arrangements, they're wanting to know how you got them so shiny.
Well, okay. My Fatsia leaves are so sickeningly shiny.
Sorry.
I will say, because I don't do shiny.
Well, they were dirty.
But they were dirty, and so someone carefully sprayed them with spray.
Actually, it's Pixie Sparkle.
Is it Pixie Sparkle?
I dipped them in the Pixie Sparkle, and I didn't shake up the bucket. So got the top.
Oh, okay, then that's easy. That's so much better. So it's not aerosol, which makes me happy. So Pixie Sparkle is an anti-transparent for foliage, and when you dip them, it seals the moisture in and makes them so dang shiny, and it virtually is going to make them last forever. They will be beauty-mous for the rest of my life. But yeah, they are shiny, aren't they? Makes your eyes go bling. But
JL just said, a kale fascinator.
that's what it is.
Yes.
I know. It just makes me happy. And then I thought, once I started with this, that pink and green, thinking about your color wheel, elements and principles, element color, pink and green are opposite on the color wheel, so it's a direct complement. And even the Ariostemon is pink and green. So it's Mother Nature's direct complement. How perfect is that? She planned it for us. And I thought that was kind of appropriate in here too. So I thought I'd do some of that. And how do I want to do this? I'm going to come up above, I think.
Leanne, we have a question for you, and also the tribe can tune in on this. Pam is a new florist and is, I believe, doing her second Mother's Day and wants to know what are popular flowers for Mother's Day.
That's a good question for the tribe. So all of you out there, any hints for her as to what would be good for Mother's Day arranging? So chime in there. That's a great question for the tribe. A little bit of Lysianthus, giving her some ruffles on here. So what are you guys doing for St. Patrick's Day? For summer?
Sharon's got corned beef and hash in the crock pot.
I know, I'm headed over
Isn't
there.
she local? I think, yeah, we should all
She is.
drive over there.
Come to visit.
I love it. Corned beef and cabbage is appropriate. Oh my gosh. I have to tell a bad story on myself because so silly. I don't know. many of you know I don't cook, but I've had to learn to cook, and so I have cooked now for 1 year of my adult life. Well, actually almost 2 years of my adult life. I never cooked. I didn't know how to do that, and I was just beside myself. What are we going to eat this week? Oh my gosh, la 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 la. You know how you get, like, what am I going to cook? What am I going to do? And I thought, well, it's St. Patrick's Day. I should make something Irish. And so today I planned ahead. I got everything ready to cook something Irish for our lunch. And then I realized it was German, it wasn't Irish, and I don't know what I was thinking. So I made, you'll love this, I made sausage and sauerkraut. I mean, it's like, that's nothing.
So cute.
I was like, I guess that's not Irish, because I was thinking, well, I'm going to be Irish, and I got that, and I got it already, and then I'm watching everybody doing their corned beef and cabbage. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what's Irish. And I was like, oh, Leanne, you've lost it. I can't even do it. But it was good, but it wasn't Irish. But, you know, I figure I get an A for effort. It's one of those things, you know, kind of like with students when I say, well, you need to read the directions. I needed to have read what is Irish so that I did it correctly. But
Leanne, I think we have a new tulip tip idea. Everyone's asking what Pixie Sparkle is.
Ah.
So that may need to be put on the list.
Okay. But, and I'll answer it here too. Pixie Sparkle is, it's a crowning glory on steroids, basically. It is an anti-transparent, but it's a much thicker variation. Not a lot of wholesalers carry it, so you're going to have to do some searching and maybe have to find it online. But it is a thicker concentration than the crowning glory. And you basically take an ounce to a gallon of water, mix it, and then you take your foliage and just dip it in. It's too heavy to use on flowers, so you don't want to use it on flowers. You want to do it really on foliage. It's fabulous for all your soft things like leather fern, plumosa, Ming fern, all of those things that dry out and die for you and make you kind of cranky. It will make them last and last and last and last. And it also shines and cleans. If you don't want it to be quite so shiny, just dilute it a little more, and it's not quite so heavy. But it is really a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful item. So if you want to try that. Now I'm using a pick machine, I should have said that. It puts an artificial stem, little steel pick on the item, and then I'm using preserved amaranthus that I tinted in the soft pink so that I could get the color that I wanted, because I knew I was working with the kale. And I just am putting the artificial stem on it so that I can drop it into the foam without having to wrestle. And I'm placing it down with the kale, almost like it's an earring coming down. And then I use preserved fern that I also tinted to keep all the colors together. Now, when I tint like this, giving myself that color harmony that ties together, like you see here, what I've done is enhanced the unity throughout, because I've coordinated the colors. When it was truly just ivory white, it was too glaring, especially against the black. So by tinting it, I created greater unity. The materials now go together better, which then leads to harmony. The overall effect will be pleasing. Then adding in the texture of the ariostomen, the ruffles, the impact of the focal emphasis. So all my elements and principles in a little edgier design, not quite as traditional because it's in the head, something a little different. Now, if you want to know more about elements and principles, come to flower school. You know, that's where you need to be. If you're in the Flower Lovers Club, there's several videos there on the elements and principles. So you can go in and read and watch those so that you can go through and learn more. If you're thinking about joining us and then moving on with the American Institute of Floral Designers, you're going to want to buy the book. But definitely use your discount code from the Flower Lovers Club, because then you save 20%. It's a lot of money, so you want to make sure you do that savings. If you are thinking about competing, join us for the Designing for Competition class coming up in May. It's a ton of fun and really takes your art of floral design to the next level. If you got your stimulus check, you know what? Just use that. That's the way to go. You've got that little bit of extra stimulus money. Use it to invest in your future. Invest in yourself. Again, if you haven't yet, share this video, spread the word, let people know about Floral Design Institute and Flower School. Like it, tag it, give us some hearts. Shout out to Brayson, shout out to June and the Newfoundland Women's. Shout out to each and every one of you for joining us. Now, I'm thinking, it's St. Patrick's Day, I should get ready for a party, find myself some green beer, and maybe corned beef cabbage instead of sausage and sauerkraut, but whatever. And we'll see you all next week. Thanks so much. Next week is going to be fun. We're going to be looking at foam alternatives. Ooh, what are your options on floral foam alternatives? See you next week. Thanks for joining us. Get out there and do something you love.